Yeah, quirky questions about Idaho and its history is part of what keeps the 208 train rolling. And some of them are obvious. We can come up with those ourselves. But it also helps to have help. And we get those generally by way of text messages from you. Yesterday, Lonnie sent us this. He wants to know what's the difference, or the history, I should say, of Beacon Street and Protest Road. Eastbound Beacon is perfectly lined up to see the cross at Table Rock, and I can't imagine it's only by chance that the opposite end of Beacon becomes Protest Road. You know what I've also noticed, Lonnie, is how many thoroughfares throughout the Treasure Valley become different roads the longer you're on one of them. For example, a drive north on Curtis Road, it becomes Veterans Memorial in Garden City, and then North 36th Street after you cross State Street. That all happens in just a 2-mile stretch. Well, Lonnie wants to know about the stretch between Kootenai Street and Beacon Street, the part called Protest Road. He can't imagine Beacon and Protest, they don't have some sort of connection other than asphalt. Well, Lonnie, you'd be right. But it didn't get that name by chance, but by contention. The shortcut connecting the Bench and South Boise is only a third of a mile long. However, its history covers both convenience and controversy. Boise's Fire Station 4 was first planned to be built on the Bench in 1950, on the corner of Kootenai and Federal Way. The idea was for the station to serve the Bench, sure, but also the neighborhood just below, originally known as the village of South Boise. So how would fire trucks get down the hill and over the Reidenbach Canal? Well, a road, of course. Though the plan attached to the bond Boise voters agreed to wasn't how it would end up. The road was supposed to attach Kootenai Street on the Bench to Highland Street below. Then when construction began in March of 1950, neighbors noticed its approach to Boise Avenue was much further north and farther away from South Boise homes. So more than 500 showed up to a meeting at Garfield Elementary to protest the, quote, entirely different location of the new intersection. This meeting marked the formation of the South Boise Citizens Protest Committee. Well, that connection, it would be completed, despite the demonstrators. But its name would be a nod to the dissenting neighbors. At some point, post-1950, Protest Avenue became Protest Road. As for Beacon Street, yes, Lonnie, it does line up pretty directly with the Table Rock Cross. Except Beacon Street has been on Boise maps since at least 1920. And the cross, well, that wouldn't be erected until 1956. You know, there's some speculation as to why plans changed from Highland to Beacon, and they have to do with land owned by the then Mayor Potter Howard. Well, that land was located just off Beacon, conveniently, therefore pushing traffic that direction. That could make some prime retail location, right? We'll see. I don't know. We didn't get to the answer to that, or to the bottom of that answer. But as for how Beacon Street got its name, maybe it was because of the Boise Airport, which at the time was located just 3 blocks to the north, where Boise State University now stands. It was Bellevue, then Belmont, and then Beacon as you worked your way north to south. Bellevue and Belmont, they became University and Denver streets, respectively, but Beacon still exists.